This is Goku-san DBZ and welcome back. This is a special 5 list. I'm going to be looking in comparison and I'm going to be talking about, in my opinion, 5 of the absolute biggest pieces of crap movies, period, that were based on video games. So these are, in other words, in my opinion, 5 of the absolute biggest dumpster fire pieces of crap movies or live action adaptations of video games. There's no specific ranking. This is just 5 movies, in my opinion, are terrible and you should not put yourself through watching it. But if you insist, fine. But these are my picks of movies I highly recommend you don't watch. But if you want to, and put yourself through wasting an hour and a half, 2 hours of your life, be my guest. No one's stopping you. But with that said, the first of these 5 movies is of the live-action Resident Evil franchise. Hands down, probably the most successful live-action adaptation and actually made into a franchise, unfortunately. In my opinion, the first Resident Evil is the only one worth actually watching, in my personal opinion. But, as I said, my opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of Apocalypse, but I don't think hands down is the absolute worst Resident Evil movie, in my opinion. There are some redeeming qualities. There is a lot of loyalty to your source material, though it's still a mindless popcorn action movie, and that's not what the old Resident Evil games were about. In my opinion, though, one of the absolute worst of the franchise as a whole, for me personally, is Resident Evil Extinction, which is the 3rd installment in the franchise, though very close with that would be the 5th movie, Retribution. It's just as big a dumpster fire, but I think what really got to me about Extinction was the fact it really disgraced one of the most important boss creatures in the Resident Evil franchise, one of the most iconic, and maybe was the most iconic, at least until, of course, Nemesis, and that being Tyrant. And they very much disgraced Tyrant, in my opinion, in Resident Evil Extinction, which is why I will not forgive that movie for what it did as a whole. Insulting Tyrant, the importance he had as a big boss in the original Resident Evil. But, as I said, for the most part, pretty much anything after the original movie is still bad, in my opinion. Next of live action adaptations I recommend you don't watch is the mid-2000s movie based on, of course, a very beloved property and one of my all-time favorite properties, of course, Street Fighter. And that movie is called Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. It's a piece of crap. At least the original movie in the 90s had the great cheese of Jean-Claude Van Damme and the greatness that was Raul Julia, rest in peace, as M. Bison. However, what did they do to get so under my skin with this adaptation? They turned Bison into a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Irish businessman in a black suit. No, no, no. That's not Bison. First of all, he looks like he should be German or whatever, not Irish. Also, an Irish businessman, seriously, in a black suit, no red, nothing even coming close. Oh yeah. Also, let's not forget the fact there is no Ken or Ryu in this movie. Borog is a joke, though at least the actor that plays Borog looks a little like the game counterpart, and that's about it. The CG is a joke. I mean, compared to many other movies in the mid-2000s, heck, the Resident Evil movies in CG put this movie to shame That's saying something. To be fair, the first two Resident movies actually had okay CG, but not a good film, and I highly recommend don't watch it. And they chose the actress who played Lana Lang in Smallville to play Chung-Yi. I personally don't hate the actress. I don't think she's the greatest, but I didn't mind her in Smallville, but she was not the best choice to play Chung-Yi in my personal opinion. But skip to the third movie I highly recommend you don't put yourself through the torture of is the live action adaptation of a pretty beloved game. And that is, well, somewhat beloved. It's hard to say who, yes. But the third movie I have to say don't put yourself through based on also a video game, fighting game franchise. The game or movie is called Dead or Alive, based on, of course, Dead or Alive video game. And yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, the actresses, the acting in this movie is horrendous, to say the least, in my opinion, anyways. Seriously, don't put yourself through the crap that is Dead or Alive. Just don't put yourself through it. If you're a fan, like I am, going all the way back to the late 90s, trust me, all it's going to do is probably infuriate you like it did me. The fourth of the 5 films I have to mention is a film that, needless to say, is pretty bad, to say the least. And not great, at least when compared to source material. But I think not only does it screw up a lot of stuff and the actual story compared to the video game, the acting for the most part is pretty bad as well in this film. The only thing that got done right in this movie was the actual costumes. And a lot of the people they managed to make look like their game counterpart. That's the only area I can give any positive marks to this film in, is making the characters look like their game counterparts. The costumes are actually superb, but the movie overall is pretty bad, and that is Tekken, the live-action Tekken movie. Though, to be fair, the second Tekken movie is even worse. The Revenge or whatever of Kazuya. It's even far worse than the original. Yeah, it's nothing like the game counterparts, period, at all. Anyways, now let's talk a bit about the fifth and final movie of definitely films I don't recommend you put yourself through. 1. Bad CG. 2. Bad acting. And 3. Bad storytelling and dialogue. So, yeah, it gets bad in 3 key areas. And that is a little movie that actually I was excited about when I first heard about the movie, and then I saw what the movie ended up like. Not too pleased. And no, for once, this movie is not based on a fighting game property. Besides, I already mentioned enough of those on the list. No, this is just a movie in general I don't really recommend any people watch unless it's one of those guilty pleasure movies. And to be fair, this movie, though I don't really recommend you watch it, it is one of my ultimate guilty pleasure films. But I will admit, it pales in comparison to the first movie of these 2 films. And that is, of course, a movie that has become infamous throughout the years, and that is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. But, as I said, the dialogue is bad, a lot of the CG is bad, even for late 90s CG, it's pretty bad. It actually could somewhat probably give Spawn a run for its money on bad CG, though I still like the effects of the Spawn cape. But anyways, yeah. Mortal Kombat, of course, the original movie is highly regarded by many to be the greatest live-action adaptation movies based on a video game property of all time. And for me personally, maybe my second favorite of all time. My favorite, hands down, is and will always be the original Silent Hill live-action movie. I think was by far about the most loyal to source material and actually tried to keep that horror aspect and did a great job on a lot of the atmosphere and stuff. But Annihilation, as I said, is a guilty pleasure of mine, and that's probably more has to do with the actual soundtrack to the movie. Is one of, I think, one of the best movie soundtracks of all time. But yeah, the CG is horrible, a lot of the acting is bad, and not to mention they replaced half the cast from the original Mortal Kombat movie. At least they kept Liu Kang, I guess. And they also kept Johnny Cage, except, of course, he kind of got killed very quick, and less than like 5 minutes into the movie, Shao Kahn killed him. And also, I kind of have a pet peeve with the casting of Shao Kahn, in my opinion. They should choose somebody much bigger, more muscular, and intimidating looking to be Shao Kahn than who they chose. But, as I said, it's a guilty pleasure. It's one of those I feel so bad it's funny type of movies. But anyways, if you want to check any of these movies out, check them out at your own risk. But with that said, this is Goku Sun DBZ, and I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. And we're just a little over 2 weeks out now from the release of KH3. Looking forward to it. But I'll see you all next time.